Hello, hello, hello. I am Stacey Thomas. I am your host tonight for SwagHer's What's Going On? And I am here blessed with an awesome guest, and I want to know what's going on in 2025. There's so much of a backstory for her, right? And if you check out her, you'll want to know too what's going on in 2025. Somebody's got to catch a break sooner or later, right? So today I am joined by the incredible Havilah Malone. Now, normally I don't read. Normally I let God lead me with everything, right? But I think God wants me to read to you tonight. Joined by incredible Havilah Malone, an award-winning actress you may recognize from shows like Barry, Insecure, NCIS New Orleans. She's also a four-time best-selling author, spoken word artist, and transformational speaker whose work has been featured on Fox, NBC, ABC, CBS, and the Huffington Post. But beyond the spotlight, Havilah's journey is one of resilience and radical self-love. Displaced from New Orleans at just 19 during Hurricane Katrina, she rebuilt her life from the ground up. She's now opening up about deeply personal battles, from surviving suicidal depression to overcoming fibroids through natural healing, and turning those experiences into a mission to inspire over 2 billion people worldwide. Her latest projects include the powerful spoken word album, Proof of What's Possible. Listen, I saw something online. She posted, love it. Spoken word, love it. A new book inspiring audiences across the globe, and her short film, I'm in Love, which is making its way to international film festivals this fall. Let's welcome her to the stage to hear more. Hello.
Hello.
Beautiful. Thank you for coming on the platform.
Thank you so much for having me. Like, even the interactions that we've been having so far have been so nourishing and positive. So I'm grateful to be able to be here today to share, continue our conversations and journey with the audience who's tuning in.
Sweetheart, I tell you, being chosen as one of the media personalities for SwagHer, I was a little like, do I fit in? Will I get it? Blah, 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 right? But I have learned God will have you at the right place at the right time. Your story, the things that you've done, I'm always thinking I'm going to be a bridge to bless somebody else. I'm reading your work and I'm getting blessed.
Oh, look, that makes my heart sing, because I'm like, that's what it's all about. We come into this life for a purpose, for a reason. And it is just as much for our own experience of the variety that life has to offer, but it's also to be a blessing for somebody else, to let them see their light and their power and their way. So the fact that you just said that, like, I literally have chills running through my body. So thank you.
Look, I'm so excited. I've got to make sure it's on some more platforms. So tell us, you've got good news this week. You got something coming up. Let's talk about 2025 for a minute.
Oh my God. In 2025, it started off, just kind of on a world scale with such, wild, crazy things happening, from the fires here in California, to just a lot of upheaval and unrest. But just as much as the pendulum swings one way, it also swings the other way. And I'm just so grateful, because not only this year has my new spoken word album released, we actually just finished the submissions yesterday for Grammy consideration, which I'm just like, yes, honey, yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. And then so there is a film that is based off of or inspired by one of the tracks on the spoken word album, called I'm in Love. It has already started winning awards. It is literally going around the globe to film festivals. I actually leave tomorrow to London for the Sustained Film Festival that we have been nominated for an award, doing a screening of the film. And it's just like the love and the impact of the messages are being felt literally around the globe. And I'm like, there's no greater joy or greater just satisfaction that you can get than to know that something that you have poured your heart and soul to, and something that you were called to do, something that you was told, like, this is what you're going to do, this is what you're going to use your skills and resources for, to create this thing because it's needed in the world, and we're seeing the results of it. So I'm grateful. Like,
I love it. Congratulations. I see what you're doing, right? And other people see what you're doing. And sometimes people assume, and there's some people who will actually make negative comments like, oh, she must have come for money. Oh, somebody gave her a helping hand. You know what I mean? And for you, so many great things have been happening. But what I've read something by you, and I do hope other people will check out the book. You didn't come from a place where you were full of joy. The way I took it was, well, you said it. Something was in you that you knew was bigger, huh?
Lord, yes. We all come into this existence, and I'll preface it with this. My belief is that we are spiritual beings having a human experience. And before we come into this life, we make these choices to come into these family dynamics, these religious dynamics, these societal dynamics, for the lessons that we're here to learn and the journey that we're supposed to go on as a human being. And so I did not always believe that, and I didn't always know that, and that wasn't always my truth, because I was raised in a highly religious household where we had, like, this is the box in which you believe. Like, this is what's right, this is what's wrong, this is what you're going to do with your life. This is when the end comes, this is what you have to look forward to. Be no part of this world. Like, the whole shebang of, I had a blueprint that was given to me on what my life should look like. And as I grew up, like, I followed that blueprint, like, to a T, because that's what I knew and that's what I believed to be right. And there was always these little whispers coming through, being like, but there's more, but there's more. And there was no safe place necessary for me to explore more, because, like, even the idea of reading outside of our spiritual literature and, like, our Bible and the things that we had, it was considered interfaith. So it was like, you cannot go outside of this box even to search for anything. And so, like, everything you need is right here inside of this container. And my soul was just like, but there is more. And so, yeah.
How, with so much that you went through, right? How do you have time to even hear a voice inside of your head when you're going through, and I won't tell the story, the things that you've gone through as a young child? How could you still hear the voice?
You know what? Sometimes that voice gets so low that it becomes a whisper. But because we are spiritual beings, because whether you want to call it universe, infinite intelligence, God, that greater force that is a part of us is in us. So that never goes away, no matter what. And I dealt with being sexually molested, in my youth, and, like, the guilt, the shame, the shrinking that I did due to that situation and how I viewed and saw myself. It was really hard to hear that voice, because the voices that I was hearing was you're not good enough, and, like, hide. Like, and that's why I held back in so many things. Like, even though I was an extremely intelligent, young lady. Like, I graduated from high school at 16. I graduated from college at 19. So, like, I couldn't do anything I set my mind to, but I would hold back. I would play small, because I'm like, if people really see me, if they really knew what it was that has happened to me, then they're not going to accept me. They're going to reject me. And like, I've already dealt with enough rejection, and my box is already so small that, no, I have to put on the smile. I have to, continue to tote the line, become an extreme people pleaser. So that internal knowing, that internal intuition and voice was very hard to hear. And it was because there was still trickles, there were still drops coming in from, like, I read Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich, like, say in my early 20s. I read, well, the first exposure I had was they had an audio, talk about a long time ago. They had an audio cassette. Y'all even know what that is anymore. Look, they had an audio cassette with one side, it had The Richest Man in Babylon, and then the other side, it had The Magic Story. And I listened to that cassette, and it was like those stories, those words that were literally going in, and almost like they were cleaning the mirror somewhat. They were making space for new thoughts to come in, which is why it's so important that we feed our own mind. Not being influenced about everything and everybody outside of us, but pour in the things that are going to help brainwash us in a positive way so that we can hear what is inside. And it was like little trickles like that. Even I remember listening to Tony Robbins' Awaken the Giant Within. That started to, like, again, clear away some space of wait. I can be more than just this low level human being that I think I am, that I believe about myself. And so that's what started to help my own voice, those whispers, to come through, because the pipe can be clogged, and it was clogged for a very long time.
Wow, you went through two things that I think are two big things: abuse.
Yes.
And then the nerve of you to step out and say that you realize that you don't have to go through someone else to reach God. There are people here on this earth, and I've been told this too before, there's more to what you were taught, and you're too afraid to learn about it. And I had to admit, that's true, because when you're raised up in church or in a specific religion, they may not mean to scare you, but it makes you scared.
Yeah.
Can you take us back, or do you remember, when is it that you said, or how did you, what was the day like that you felt like, you know what? I'm not going to let the abuse hold me back. And I know what I was taught, but I'm going this way.
Yeah. A significant shift happened for me and it was in 2012. So for nearly a decade, I actually worked in corporate America. So I was a district sales manager. I started working there at 21. So I literally was running a $160 million technology business for Hewlett Packard at 21. And I was also their spokesperson on, like, the Home Shopping Network and QVC. And I remember in 2012, so after nearly a decade being with them, they ended up having a massive layoff. So our entire department, we all got laid off. And even though, like, the uncertainty of that situation was just like, okay, this is all I've known for, like, the last, decade of my life. And my identity had gotten tied with being Miss HP. And so it was just kind of like, who am I without this title? Who am I without these things? And it actually was the biggest blessing in disguise, because sometimes God, the universe, it'll be like, look, I put you on a path for a certain lesson, for a certain reason, but I didn't want you to be on that path forever. I need you to come off of this path. And since you don't want to do it, I'm going to do it for you. So it was like, rug pulled. And it was like, okay, now in this uncertainty, in this new space of now, what am I going to do next? Listen to me, because I'm going to direct you. I'm going to show you where you're going to go next.
Ooh.
And so I ended up being, girl, I got reached out to by someone who was like, I know that you're in transition right now between jobs. Can you, I want you to come and potentially come and work with us. Now, mind you, this person ran a funeral home. I was like, child, I was like, I go from running $160 million technology business, being the face on QVC and HSN, to being at a funeral home. I was like, no, thank you. And so then he was like, look, I get it. This is totally outside of your realm. He said, but just come and have a conversation with me. Just come and sit down with me is all I'm asking. And I finally, at the mulling over, I was like, you know what? Fine. I go sit down and have a conversation with him. It was that day that I met this woman, Sandra Richardson. This interaction in my life, which tells you that people will show up when you need them to. The messages will show up when you need them to, because she and I were such mirrors of each other. Like when I looked at her, I was like, this is what I could be when I grow up. Like this is, and she had a very similar background to mine, having the same religious upbringing, also dealing with abuse, but yet she was so cultured and so like versed in so much like self-development reading and stuff like that. And I was just like, wait, this is possible for me. And so I know that that whole little interaction was for me to be able to meet her, because she was a pivotal piece on my journey of like breaking through. And she and I decided to go to our very first like personal development seminar together. We went to Tony Robbins, UPW, Unleash the Power Within.
Right.
We walked on fire, like literal burning
I was going to ask you about that.
It was after I left that event, I was like, there is nothing that is impossible to do, because look at what I just did at this event that people say cannot be done. Not a burn, not a bruise, nothing. And I walked on fire. And I was like, I didn't go through fire in my life, and now I've done it physically. I could do anything. But I still had to go through the reprogramming process of my own mind. And that took time.
So first of all, let me say, when I read that you walked on fire, if you tell the average African-American person that, they say, ain't no Black person walking on no fire. But you did. And then is that when, I guess I'm trying to figure out, well, I want to know,
yes,
when did you get so strong that you said, I'm going to write about what happened. I'm going to tell the world? Because you didn't just tell. Most people are going to tell the story, but not tell everything. They're not going to identify people. Certain things you keep in the house.
Girl. Ooh, I'm telling. So I really feel like a part of my purpose in life, and we were talking about this before we came on. So the motto that I live by: be proof of what's possible. Be proof of what's possible. I literally live this in my life, because you're right. So often in our communities, us,
right,
it is all about the secrecy and hiding of things. And I even have empathy, because I'm like, I understand. Look, if you come out of oppression, you come out of, slavery, where like things like they have to be hidden just to be safe. But we're not in that place anymore. We're in a place of generations that it's time to break these old cycles. We get to stand in our power. We get to be all of who we were meant to be. We're not under these same constraints. And our ancestors who did do the work to get us to this point, we get to honor them by doing everything that they couldn't, which is to be able to speak our truth. Because so long I had blocks here in my throat chakra, like just energetically blocks. And I remember the day that I finally said who my abuser was, and I said it to my best friend. And I just remember it feeling like a frog in my throat, because it was so hard to even get the words out of my mouth to say it. And it was just like, once it came out and I said the name, it was just like all this energy. It was like I was using so much energy to hold this in, to like hold this secret, because it was my family member, it was my brother. And so it's like to have somebody who is that close in your family. And for long, I was like, I had decided I was gonna go to my grave with this, because I'm like, I don't want to be the one to like mess up our family dynamic.
Right.
Will they believe me anyways? You know, it's like all the things that we start to psych ourselves out of owning our own truth and standing in our power, because it's culturally taught that this is the way it's got to be. So that's why like everything that I've done, from walking on fire to like literally jumping off of a building, and I am still here today. So, and there's like all these things like, oh, in Black culture, we don't do this. Yes, we do. We can do anything that we choose to do. Anything.
Right. Right.
Yes. And I'll say this too. I had the first time I ever even shared that I had been abused, and at that point I didn't share who it was because I wasn't ready to like go there, but it was in 2014, and it was after, so 2012 was when I went to my first Tony Robbins event, and then I ended up joining his Platinum Partnership, which is like a small group of people who travel around the world with him, learning from his his circle. And it's a very powerful circle of people. And then I learned about this tool called NLP, which is neuro linguistic programming. It allows you to go in and rewire your neural network. So things that are tied, so your unconscious mind is what holds like your belief system. It holds the majority, like you're like, oh, this is just how I am. No, it's not. It's how you've been programmed. You can reprogram that. And this is a tool, a powerful tool to be able to do that very quickly. And so I learned about this tool in that circle, which is why sometimes you got to change your circle. You got to be around people who are doing the things that you want to do, or have a mind that's more expanded than yours, so that you get access to tools, because they're available to us all. So I'm going to tell you about them so that you can go and do what you got to do for yourself. So NLP, it was a very powerful tool that helped to crack me open in a way and to start to reprogram my mind. So 2014 is when I then shared and broke my silence for the first time. And from 2014, now we're going to fast forward all the way now until so we're in 2025. So 2021 is when I actually officially left my religious organization. So all this time, now I had not been active, going to meetings and going out in field service, doing all of the activities around it, because I was separated in a way, but I was still officially, tied to the organization. And it was in 2021 because I had, matter of fact, my book, Rewriting a New History, had come out. And when that book came out, an ultimatum. They were like, either you can renounce, because this book, I utilized ayahuasca. So I had an ayahuasca ceremony, which talk about releasing all of the BS beliefs that are there, being able to let go of your connection to your unconscious limiting beliefs that you don't even know are there. It gives you a whole new perspective of life in the world. And so it was a powerful tool in my healing journey. And so I wrote a book about it. And it took me the longest time to put this book out, because I knew there was going to be consequences. I knew that they were going to have an issue with it, because it wasn't, I'm giving you the Bible. No, there are other things that are available to help us along our healing journey, and there's more information that is out there that we have access to, that we can use to access our power. And so once they gave me the ultimatum of either you renounce this book and stop, putting this out there and promoting it, and then come back to the fold, or you got to make the decision to leave. And I remember sitting there because I was like, I know what I will lose if I leave. I know that my family will no longer talk to me anymore. I know that, I will be shunned, like they'll excommunicate you. And I was like, but I can't keep choosing to walk this line and try to live this like double life thing. I have to be true to who I am, because I do have things that I need to do in this world and I can't hold back and do that. And so I decided to leave. And I remember the day I went to write my letter. And I remember I was like, wait, I wrote a letter before, because I was going to leave like years before, but just got afraid and was like, okay, I'm not going to do that. So I go in my computer, and it was January. I can't think of the exact, it was like January. And it was 6 years prior on the exact same day. 6 years prior, the exact same day. And I remember I read the letter and I was like, oh my God, I still feel the exact same way. All of this is exactly the same. So I just just change the date, like just change, like a few things, my age, and then I sent the letter off and I was like, I appreciate this upbringing. I appreciate this foundation, but it no longer serves the path that I'm on, and I have to be true to me.
And this was the very day, the same date that you attempted to suicide?
No, that I attempted to leave the religion before, that I had written a letter. Yeah, so I had written that letter to leave 6 years prior.
Okay.
Yes.
And I'm just amazed at your story. Mm-hmm. Hurricane Katrina, you were there.
I was in Shreveport. So I lived in Kenner, Louisiana, which is when you fly into New Orleans, you fly into Kenner. And then New Orleans is 15 minutes from there. So I lived in Kenner, Louisiana at the time. I was in Shreveport because I was working for Hewlett Packard at the time. I was in Shreveport on a 3-day business trip. So I literally had 3 days worth of clothes, and I am sitting there in my hotel room watching this all unfold on television. I'm just like, this can't be real. Like, this is my home. This can't be happening. And then trying to be in communication with family and stuff that was there, and then like losing communication because like the phone lines would go down as far as like cell phone coverage and usage. And so it was just like, and then I couldn't go back because they were like, they weren't letting people back into the city. And so I literally had to go from Shreveport with 3 days worth of clothes, and I headed up to Texas and I was there for like 2 weeks before they allowed you to come back in to assess the damage and see, what was going on. So it was, just catastrophic and unnecessary, the amount of damage that was done. And yet it also, for me, became one of the biggest blessings in disguise, because it allowed me to have to leave that environment, because I did end up moving to Texas for 2 years and get put into a new environment with new people that had a different energy and a different way of life that helped to start my growth path. Like, that was the very first time I read Kevin Trudeau's Natural Cures, and I did a 30-day cleanse, like a 30-day, like literal juice cleanse. Changed my life. Literally changed my life. Wow. And it was like, I would have never done that being rooted in New Orleans, being rooted back at home, because everything we do is around like, hey, baby, where we going to eat? Like, where we going?
Yeah. So, I mean, talking about somebody that has a story, you know what? And I think I told you, I said, you know what? For you, we need a part 1, a part 2, and a part 3. But at the same time, so coming up this September, well, in September is Suicide Month.
Yeah.
That's something you can speak on too?
Most definitely. Most definitely. It was, so in terms of the abuse that I faced, the sexual abuse, it happened in childhood. For me, those memories got repressed. And so it wasn't until in my adult years that they were triggered, and like I remembered everything that happened, and it came back for me. And it came back so strongly, and I was at a place where I just wasn't ready to handle or deal with that. And I remember I was living in Texas at the time. So this is after Katrina. And I came back home to visit like my family, and being back at my childhood home and going into the bathroom and just deciding that like I didn't want to continue on. Like this wasn't, the pain was so great that it was just like, it would be easier if I ended it all. And I did attempt suicide unsuccessfully, thank goodness. And it just was almost like a reminder to me that like, no, you are protected. You do have a reason for being here. And I'm going to see you through this. I'm going to help you through this. And so it was a very difficult time for me and my family, like even my parents, who never became aware of this until 2014. So when I broke my silence around the abuse is when I also shared with them that, they almost, lost me that day. And, so it has been a journey of healing.
Oliver, how do you explain to someone else that's watching this show, that's contemplating suicide, that thinks that there is no help out there? How do you convince that person not to do it?
It's like we can be in a place that feels so low, that feels so lonely, but you are never alone. You didn't come into this world alone, and you're not going to leave it alone. And there are people who care about you. And it may not be the ones who are right next to you at this moment in time, but know that there are. And you didn't come into this life. You weren't given whatever the challenge is that you are facing right now without the ability to overcome it. Because what is on the other side of that is beautiful, but you got to go through. And going through is hard to do, but it is doable. And I am living proof. I am so grateful that my life did not end on that day. I live with such joy now, and I get to impact so many lives now that I would never have back then. So just know that you're not alone, and you're loved, you're worthy, and you are meant to be here. So stay here with us and just reach out to get help, because there are a lot of organizations, there are a lot of people who would love to help you.
Wow. Thank you for that. Because here's the thing, nothing against educated people, nothing against people that say they are therapists or they're counselors. But Havilah, I've learned there's nothing like speaking to someone that actually has walked in my shoes, that has experienced something that gives them an idea of what I am going through or what they're going through. Thank you for your boldness, for your transparency. You're blessing people. And the book, okay, that's a blessing all on its own.
Oh my God.
Let me tell you something. I think you said something about a movie on your life. I indeed believe that story. People need to read it. People need to hear about it. They need to have a talk with you after they read it. It's deep. That's why I said, what made you be so bold and honest?
In terms of even sharing the story, right? Because like I've talked about it, in interviews and things like that, but I had never written it down. And so this book just released a couple months ago, and so July, this book just released. And when the publisher of the book reached out to me, so Bobby Wilcox, who is of Heart and Soul Publishing, so they had partnered with Jack Canfield of Chicken Soup for the Soul of that series, and they wanted to do a women's empowerment series. And she had originally reached out to me about pairing the soundtrack I'm in Love to this book series, just kind of as a soundtrack for the book and their marketing and advertising. So I was like, oh, I love it. Let's have a conversation and figure out how we can make this, partnership work. And then in successive conversations that I would have with her, and she started learning more about me and my story, she was just like, there's more. Like, I need you to actually share your story in this book. And at first I was like, no, I'm good. Like, I was like, I kind of rejected that opportunity because I'm just like, I'm open like to talk about this or whatever, but I don't know if I want to sit down and like literally write this out. And she, to encouragement, she was like, just think about it, like pray on it. She's like, I see you being a part of this series because it's 12 empowering stories, from 12 different authors. And so after really sitting with it, I was like, because one thing Tony has taught us, anything that Les Brown said this, anything you resist persists. But it's like the thing that you are trying not to do is literally the cave you need to walk into that has all the things that you're looking for. The reward is in walking through the thing that you're trying to avoid. And I was just like, why am I having so much resistance to like putting this on paper? And I really had to do some soul searching for myself. And then I was just like, wow, I didn't know, again, how was it going to affect my family? I was like, wait, I thought I had already gotten over this. I thought, I had moved past this, but there's levels, there's layers to our healing. And that healing journey can go on, and it's like, you can get to a certain point, but there's more healing that needs to be done sometimes. And so this for me was very therapeutic. It was very like it got points where it was hard and I got like stuck and I was just like, I didn't want to detail out the things that happened. I'm like, the only way you're going to really help people is if you tell it all, if you put it all on paper. And so I almost had to like relive through that again, writing it down on paper, but I also was able to break through from it again. And that was very empowering for me.
So I decided after I read it, how would I describe it? So I did a live about you coming on the show. And I said, you may want tissue and a bottle of champagne. Why? Because the story's deep and can have you emotional. But then when you look at you in 2025 and we follow what you're saying and how you tell about the things you discovered, it's worth celebrating. Something I really liked that caught my eye, and I don't remember your exact words, but it was when you discovered that you didn't need to go through anyone to ask for forgiveness, to ask for permission. You realize that we already have a personal connection to God.
Oh my goodness. Like that is the most, let me tell you something. Because we are so powerful, there are organizations, there are other people who want to utilize our power for their own purposes. So I can keep you constrained by making you believe that you are not full and whole within yourself, making you believe that there are more pieces that are needed for you to be complete. And it's not true. We are spiritual beings having a human experience. This beautiful meat suit that I am wearing to be able to walk on planet Earth is not who I am. So that spirit of God, that power of God, it is in me, which means I am connected to that and have direct communication to it. I don't have to go through somebody else. I don't have to go and pray in front of somebody else. None of that is true.
Right. Oh, I love it. And that book, hold that book up again.
Yes. This one's called The Power of Inner Sparkle.
That is a must read. That is a must read. And that brings me to your impact that you're having and the legacy you're building. You have a trip coming up. Look at Stacey. It ain't my business to tell, but I'm just going to say, where you're You're just blessing people outside of the states. How does it feel? And you can tell me. How does it
Let's talk
feel?
about it. Look.
Look, how does it feel to know that it's just not the people in the neighborhood or the people in the United States that your work has resonated with?
Oh my, it is the most extraordinary feeling because I knew. So in 2013, and so every year I used to use Napoleon Hill's formula, the 6 steps to riches, to be able to decide like what my goal was going to be, what I was going to focus on. I would literally use that formula and figure out like for that year what I was going to, do and then how I was going to go about doing it. And
Okay.
I said, I wonder if I can extrapolate this formula to figure out my life plan, to figure out my life goals and what I'm here for. And so I did that in 2013. And I was able to, what came through to me was that I am a catalyst for positive change in over 2 billion people's lives. That is a part of the purpose that I am here for. And I'm like, to be able to reach 2 billion people around the globe. So not just here in my backyard, but around the globe. And so when I finally answered the call to create this album and to create this film and do what is a part of my purpose to fulfill in this life, to deliver these powerful messages, because ultimately what these messages share with us is revealing to us our power and our connection to our power and how to tap into that. And so now, I mean, we have won awards out of France, out of Athens, Greece. Now I'm going to London tomorrow.
Makes you smile.
But oh my God, and so 2 days ago, we just got the announcement that we are official selections for festivals in Croatia and Barcelona. I am just like, the world is ready to receive and understand what they have access to, what we have access to as human beings, so that all these unjust things that are happening in the world are happening because we're living in a mindset of lack. We're living in a mindset of limitation. But if you knew that you lived in an abundant universe that was always providing for you, what would you need to take from somebody else when you already got everything you need?
Wow. And that I'm in love. Okay. So Mary J. Blige got me saying, "Good morning, gorgeous."
Yes. Oh, I'm fine.
Woo! You have me. I listened to it. It wasn't what I thought it was going to be. It surprised me, I just think I just might start listening to that more often.
Amen.
Positive words. And oh my goodness. Looking ahead. Well, let me say this before we go looking ahead. Isn't it amazing? I created a shirt that says fear blocks blessings, faith brings blessings.
Amen.
Isn't it amazing? Because you said it earlier, out of your storms came, like, God showed up and showed out.
Yes. I'm telling you, every time there's a major, even like world crisis that happens, for me, I have an empowering experience that comes out of it. And I almost feel like my life is being used, again, this whole proof of what's possible. My life is being used to show that no matter what it looks like on the outside, I always have provision for you. I always have an alternative for you. You don't have to follow the chaos. You don't have to follow the hurt and pain. There is beauty that can come out of all of this. Because even during the pandemic, after the first like 4 months of like looking at these walls, and I was just like, okay, I'm kind of over this. And everybody went inside. I went outside. I went and did a 3-month cross-country road trip. And I went to all of these extraordinary places across this entire country for 3 months, going and then coming all the way back. And the lessons and the experiences that I had were mind-blowing. I literally need to do a series on it and share that journey, because it was like, there's a population that is completely holed up inside and like withering to a certain extent, while life is regenerating outside.
Havilah,
Yeah.
what's the meaning of your name? Tell them.
Oh, Havilah. Havilah comes from Genesis 2:11, and it is a land of gold in the Garden of Eden. So the scripture goes, the first one's name is Pashon, and is the river encircling the entire land of Havilah, a land where there is gold, and the gold of that land is good.
Okay. I love it. I love it. Looking ahead, what's next for you both? Like, what do you think you're going to create, or will you share it with us?
Yes, absolutely. One of the things, like, so in terms of this album and this film journey, the goal is to create short films that are based off of every single track on that album, so that each track will have its own film, basically creating a visual album for it. And there's also an immersive museum exhibit that I see for the long form track, The Divine Manifesto, because there's artwork that's associated with that particular track, because that's also in the book Rewriting a New History. So the expansion of that world, so that people can receive this information in a variety of ways that will resonate with them, where they can get what they need for their journey and take it and move forward. So that, in terms of like the current project that I'm working on. But I'll tell you, my friend sent me this video, I think like 3 days ago, and it was on Instagram. And the video said, a lot of times people will make 10-year plans and think that, oh, this goal that I have is going to take me 10 years to get it. He said, a lot of times you can actually accomplish that same goal between 6 months to a year. It was like, if you would just refocus your mind, go all in on that goal, and give yourself a new timeline. And so I was like, wow, what's a big goal that I have for myself that I have projected like far out? And what hit me, and I was like, ooh, I see myself, and I am looking forward to the day that I will receive my Nobel Prize. And
You
so
don't say.
yeah, so for a significant contribution to the betterment of humanity. And so I was like, why do I keep on like pushing that out like so far into the future? I said, you know what? A year. So I literally wrote down on paper, I was like, okay, by September 30th, 2026. And then it made me think, I was like, oh, well, when do they even award, Nobel Prizes? So I go online, I look it up. They award them December 10th of every year. And they make the announcements the first week of October. So I was like, I literally wrote down September 30th, 2026, and they would make the announcement that first week of October. So I was like, okay, now I get to focus all of my energy and like, what is that significant contribution to the betterment of humanity that would be deserving of that prize? And let me focus my energy on doing that work that I'm here to do.
So, and you're going to continue to be a mental health champion as you do all of this?
Absolutely. I'm telling, mental health is, mental and physical health are the most important things we have. When this mind is focused in the right direction, because whatever you focus on is going to grow. So when we focus our mind in the direction towards the things that we want, we literally are magnets, and we bring that physical reality to us, and it starts to show up in the people that we're surrounded with, in the resources that come to us, and the opportunities that come to us. So this piece right here is important to controlling everything else, and then we want our physical health together so we can enjoy it.
Wow. So all of us, listen, this has been awesome. So for us that are following you, How can others join your movement for greater awareness, self-love, and suicide prevention? And if there's not a way to join your movement, what advice, what do you want us to do?
Mm,
What do you want us to do?
certainly. One of the things, yeah, so definitely you can follow me on, the social media platforms like at Havilah Malone. And as more things that are happening, whether it's, film screenings or talkbacks, like bringing community together to be able to connect and to grow, because the more of us that come together to have these powerful conversations and get into that like-minded frequency, then we get to impact so many other lives and we get to do it together. Because one battery is powerful, but a group of batteries together, baby, we can power a whole city and a whole world. So definitely let's continue to have that conversation. And then just even individually, like in your own journeys, be proof of what's possible. Like if there's a book that is calling to you for you to write, stop putting it off. Like today, write something down, like put it on paper, even get on a live and declare that this is what you're going to do so other people can hold you accountable to actually taking the action. Read, read on a daily basis something that is going to open your mind and expand you in some way so that you can understand what you have access to and understand that you are worthy simply because you exist. You don't have to accomplish nothing. You ain't got to get no awards. You don't have to have nobody patting you on your back. Because you exist, you are worthy. And when you can walk through life with that mentality, it changes the game for everybody, because your healing heals us all.
Havilah, thank you.
Thank you. This has been so nourishing and enriching, and I'm so grateful. Thank you.
How someone said you're talking to me, sister. You know, I'm thankful for everyone that watches, right?
Mm,
I know I call Tawanda my road dog. She's
yes.
somebody that believes in Stacy and always help, and motivates me. She holds me accountable. But when you said what you said, and I saw her pop up about the book, do it today. She
Today.
she talks about it. She's written a lot of it. What is her problem?
And here's the thing, even if because we can get in our own way, talk
Yeah.
about getting our own way.
Uh-huh.
But there are groups that you can get and join, that literally, like Permission to Write is a great writers group to be able to connect with people. You got to surround yourself with people who are doing the thing that you want to do, because in that energy there is momentum, there is accountability, there is support. So stop being a lone wolf and isolating yourself, in by yourself. Create or join community around the thing you want to accomplish, because what you want to accomplish also wants to be accomplished through you. It is waiting for you to show up so that it can come out into the world and be of benefit to the rest of us. So no more talking about it, no more taking baby steps. It's time to take the leap.
So I missed you on Fox. I missed you on the other news platforms. I will not miss when they announce you for the Nobel Prize. How about that? I will follow your pages. How do we follow you on? Because you're on Instagram and Facebook. Is that a simple?
Yes, I am on Instagram at Havilah Malone. So HavilahMalone, and I'm on Facebook at Havilah Malone, the number 2. So Havilah Malone 2. You can follow me on Facebook.
And we have the website up there if you want to check out her new spoken word album. Let me say this before we go. This was on my mind too. You're a poet. I'm a writer. Even writing the books that I've written, I've always been amazed at the gift that poets have.
Oh.
It takes me 100 pages to tell a story, and it takes you a couple of sentences. or not even a page to tell the whole story? What
Oh,
gift you have been blessed with?
I'm so grateful. You know, it's so interesting. When I was in middle school, I started writing poetry, but I did not consider it writing. I didn't consider it poetry. It was just my form of expression, and the way things that came out of me, it came out in these, metaphors and rhyming patterns and just like symbolism that was really powerful. But it was my way of like being able to be heard. It's my way of being able to like, there's a world inside of me that wants to be expressed, but I don't have a safe place to express that but on this paper. And so that just continued to grow. And even it's so wild. Even after I had just because the album released June 4th of this year.
The day
Even
after my
after
birthday. Okay.
Look, I love that. Look, even after the album release, I still was not connecting my identity to being a poet. It still just did not click for me that that's what you are. And finally, and it was like some friends of mine was like, Havilah, like you are a poet. And I'm just like, no, like this is just spoken word. Like this is just, and it was like, no,
Poetry.
boo. Like
Poetry.
own what it is, the gifts that you have been given. Own these gifts, because when you claim it, you can fully stand in it. And I was like, you know what? You're absolutely right. I am a poet.
Right, right.
Mm. And we have so many gifts. And because I literally, I always say I am just a highly effective communicator across multiple platforms.
Well, and then you're gonna cross the water. You're gonna cross the water. Let them know who Havilah is.
I'm
Sweetheart,
coming across the pond, baby.
it's been great. Safe travels. You're gonna the Sundance Festival.
We have applied to Sundance, and so we're
Okay.
waiting to hear back when they start to put out the notifications for that one. So look, if anybody knows somebody, then tell them go ahead, make that an official selection.
Thank you, beautiful, for being on What's Going On. I am so enjoying being a SwagHer personality, media personality. And when you follow SwagHer, please don't forget, don't separate the words. It's SwagHer. And do follow Havilah Malone and head over to my page. I posted, I'm in love. It'll have you following up with Good Morning Gorgeous.
Yeah. I'm gonna repost it. Look.
Have a great one, Havilah. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for doing what you have been called to do, because
Ooh,
you are creating the space and platform for these powerful messages to go out into the world. So thank you.
thank you, sweetheart. I'll be watching.
Yay!
So, another great one. Thank you for watching What's Going On. This is SwagHer Media. And listen, if you want to know more about SwagHer, there's a page on social media, Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. Check out all the wonderful guests and the wonderful people that are part of the team. And if you want to check out I'm in Love by the beautiful lady, Havilah, go to my page. You'll love it. Until next time, don't stress too much about yesterday. Don't worry too much about tomorrow, because if we do, we just might miss living today. I am Stacey Thomas. Good night.